This week brings one of the most emotionally revealing alignments of the season, a full moon in Virgo, joined by a lunar eclipse. And it unfolds just as Mars enters Pisces, Mercury remains retrograde, Venus shifts into Aries, and the Sun moves towards a conjunction with Mercury and Pisces. This is not a simple week. This is a week where clarity feels unstable, where control is tested, and where faith is asked to mature. And when we weave this into Parashat Ki Tisa and the energy of Purim, the symbolism becomes very precise. Mars enters Pisces, emotional action. On March 2nd, Mars enters Pisces. Mars is how to act. Pisces dissolves boundaries. This can feel like fatigue, emotional reactivity, spiritual sensitivity, difficulty knowing when to push and when to surrender. Mars in Pisces does not act from strategy. It acts from emotion, from intuition, from overwhelm, from faith or from confusion. And when action is unclear, we often compensate by trying to control something else, which leads us directly to the Virgo eclipse. Virgo Lunar Eclipse, the collapse of perfection. The full moon in Virgo, intensified by a lunar eclipse, exposes where we are gripping too tightly. Virgo wants order. It wants systems. It wants improvement. It wants proof. But eclipses remove what is false. They reveal cracks. They show us where perfectionism has quietly replaced trust. And when we don't trust the process, we try to control the outcome. This is exactly what unfolds in Ki Tisa. Ki Tisa is the parasha of the golden calf. Moses is on the mountain. The people are waiting. There is silence. There is uncertainty. There is no visible leadership. And instead of tolerating the unknown, they build something tangible. The golden calf was not rebellion, it was anxiety. It was the inability to sit with ambiguity. It was the need for something concrete when faith felt abstract. That is Virgo's shadow. That is eclipse pressure. That is Mars and Pisces without grounding. The moment when control feels safer than trust. Mercury is retrograde in Pisces. On March 7th, the Sun conjuncts Mercury. This brings illumination to confusion, but not immediately. Retrograde cycles asks us to review. What do I believe when clarity disappears? Who do I blame when leadership feels absent? What do I build to avoid sitting in discomfort? In Ki Tisa, Moshe Rabbeinu, descends and breaks the tablets. Sometimes structures must break before truth can be restored. This week may bring conversations, realizations, or emotional clarity that reveal where something artificial has been holding your sense of security. Let it surface. On March 5th, the Sun in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer, which is retrograde. This is grace. This is protection through water energy. This is emotional support that doesn't need to be loud. Even when eclipses shake the ground, there is still guidance operating beneath the surface. And this is where Purim enters. Purim is the story of hidden miracles. The divine name is not mentioned in the text, not even once. Everything appears political, coincidental, ordinary, and yet the entire story is orchestrated. Purim teaches hidden does not mean absent. Silence does not mean abandonment. Reversal often begins with invisibility. Ki Tisa shows us what happens when we panic in hiding. Purim shows us what happens when we endure it. On March 6th, Venus enters Aries. After emotional water and eclipse intensity, this shift reintroduces personal courage. Venus in Aries says, I value boldness. I value honesty. I value self-trust. This is Esther energy, Queen Esther. Not impulsive, but brave. Not reactive, but decisive at the right moment. This week is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to notice. Where am I trying to build certainty out of fear? Where can I allow mystery without manufacturing control? Where is leadership maturing through discomfort? The eclipse, my exposure cracks. Mars and Pisces might blur your momentum. Mercury retrograde may complicate communication. But Sun trining Jupiter and the energy of Purim reminds us faith deepens in hiding. Clarity returns after collapse. And not every silence requires a golden calf. Take your time this week. Pause before reacting. Let what is unstable reveal what is real. And if this episode resonates, like, subscribe, and share. And join me next week for another Turning of Times, where astrology and Torah meet to guide conscious evolution.